Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all our delegates across the globe. And this is my great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Sohail, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah. So actually, it's our privilege and honor for us to present this very important webinar. Actually, it's the first time we are organizing a seminar on soft skills. Most of the time, all the last 1 year, we are talking all the time Corona and the effect of Corona and the worries and the stress caused by Corona. So we thought we will change the topic. We will try to look at ourselves instead of looking outside. We thought let us go into some techniques of looking at ourselves. So I am very happy and I congratulate our team from CEDAR, Center for Educational Development and Research, and his team, and my colleague Mrs. Carol, and our panelist Dr. Shweta Adeta from RAC Hospital, and Dr. Talat Matar, our own colleague, today's panelists. So I am very happy to welcome them and congratulate them for organizing this very important workshop on a soft skill workshop. And let me welcome all the delegates who have shown the interest. In fact, it is meant to, not just for doctors or lawyers or engineers or other professionals. It's meant for any human being want to think that there is a possibility to improve. So basically it is how we can improve ourselves, how we can focus on ourselves, and what will be the advantage of that in the quality of our life. So that's all our today's message will be, and we will be trying to, both myself and Mrs. Carol will be trying to share with you. Again, let me tell you, whatever we are telling is nothing like absolute. When you are talking of mind, there is nothing like absolute, nothing like right or wrong, because each one has a different approach, different emotional status, different thinking process. So naturally, one technique which works for one person may not work for the others. So we need to realize that individual variation, and because of that, there is a need for individual workout. Each one of us have to find out which works best, and accordingly we have to modify our lifestyle. But let me assure you one thing, my dear friends. See, when we talk all these things of the mind and body, many people think, especially youngsters think, all this is for the old people who are ready to die. Please let me assure you, there are several techniques which are very easy to practice, and if you want to change, it's possible to change. I think there is no doubt at all, because whether it is psychologists or psychiatrists or so many philosophers, it has been proven beyond doubt that we have enough and more techniques which we can incorporate in our lives, and there will be a significant change in the quality of life. There is no doubt at all. So let me welcome again each and every one of you. I am Dr. Gurumadhva Rao, the president of RAC Medical and Health Sciences University. Is very proud to present our distinguished speakers and also our panelists. And I am also happy the RAC Hospital is always joining with us for all these CMA programs. Most of you may be knowing our RAC Medical and Health Sciences University is basically a health science university having medical, dental, pharmacy and nursing programs. And in the pharmacy and nursing, we also have master's programs. And I'm very proud to share with you, now we are 15-year-old, but our alumni are doing extremely well, whether it is nursing or medical or dental or pharmacy. So we have a very good reputation, and we definitely, I can proudly tell you, we are one of the very important proud destination for many aspirants. So with that, let me welcome you once again. Actually, Dr. Yasser Al-Niyam, you are supposed to join, but unfortunately, because of the last minute issues, is not able to join, but he has conveyed his greetings. I'm also proud to say that Our Highness Sheikh Saud bin Sakar Al-Qasimi, who is the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah, and the Crown Prince His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Saud Al-Qasimi, they have been supporting our university from the beginning, and we are managed by the Ras Al Khaimah government. So we express our gratefulness, we convey our thankfulness, and we thank all our faculty and deans, associate deans, and all the administrators and all the students and faculty for having taken this Rackham HSU from the scratch to this level. So once again, a hearty welcome, and we will be starting the session immediately. Please, all of you, all the delegates, please remember all of your questions to be typed, and then our moderator will select that, and he will be reading out, and our panelists and the guest speakers will be answering that. Okay, now, so we will start the session. He said you're not comfortable. Hey, this is old one, not new one. Oh, this one, this one. Better you come this side. We are not seeing it all. I cannot see myself.
Sir, we're able to see you.
Yes, yes, yes. So hello once again. See, when we are talking of soft skills, when we are talking of our mind, we have to be a little more philosophical, little more spiritual, and we should be realistic about ourselves. So that will be the focus. So see, this is a very common fact. Everybody, each one of us, each one of the living being in this universe, ultimately it has an end. One ultimate journey, we have to disappear from the world. See, this is a fact we need to remember. When we say that our life is not permanent, obviously we should remember whatever we earn, whatever property, whatever designation, whatever position, however rich you may become, how much of property but ultimately when you are living, we are not going to take it. That is the fundamental fact one has to remember. So when we understand this fact that nothing is permanent in this life, then what is our role in this life? As long as we are alive, are we going to keep quiet? Are we going to fight with others? Are we going to do some good work? Or what are we achieving? Whatever is the purpose. So, most of the time our tendency is to be in our comfort zone, whatever maximum comfort, and then be there, be happy there. Is it enough? What is the purpose of our life? Why I should be, how I can make my life more productive? This is the question we should ask ourselves every day. And am I competing with somebody else? Or am I competing with myself? How can I make my life more meaningful, more fruitful, more loving, more helping others, more understanding others? How can I make? So that means, my friends, from the comfort zone, naturally we have to cross over the fear zone, we have to get into the learning zone. Then, of course, ultimately, we have to reach the growth zone. What is this growth zone? In the growth zone, you are not only finding the purpose for your life, the meaning for your life, but also you are making it meaningful and making your life worthwhile. So that's how can we do that ourselves? Where is the effort to be done? That is the purpose of today's session. Nasir, please. Now, there will be a short video presentation, which will be for 3 minutes. My request to all the delegates, take a paper and pen. Please observe the video very closely and then write your comments. What exactly you felt after seeing the video? Yes, Nasir, video please.
Yes, sir.
So, I hope I'm audible again. I hope all of you enjoyed the video, and also many of you would have written the comments. What is the learning experience from this video? I'm very sure some of you would have guessed it. Initially, the doggy was protesting, not allowing the bird to take the feed. But once it saw that why that bird is taking the feed to feed and then you would have seen how the attitude changed. So what is the learning experience? when we separate the emotions, when we focus on the facts, our behavior changes. I think that is a message very nicely represented in the video. So any action of ours, when it is based on the facts rather than on the perception, it changes. Whole ultimate outcome changes. And I'm sure all of you will agree that that should be our focus. Instead of getting emotional, and when you become emotional, you become irrational. When we are irrational, naturally the facts will be blinded, and we give more importance to perception. And naturally, when we act based on the perception, it will be definitely not objective. That's why again and again we are emphasizing, when we are emotional, when we assume, or when we are judgmental, we are not able to analyze. That's why any problem, any situation, when you analyze, the result will be different. When you react with the emotions, the result will be different. So our effort in today's session will be to look at the things in a different way. And for that, what is needed? We'll be trying to look at ourselves. So the focus of today's session will be how to look at ourselves. What are the things to look at ourselves? And what are the things we can improve ourselves without depending on others? And when we improve, what will be the benefit? So this will be the essence of today's discussion. Also, at any given time, we have multiple roles. As a father, as a mother, son, daughter, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, as an administrator, as a friend, as a teacher, several roles simultaneously. You cannot separate one from other. But is it the same reaction with everybody? Is it the same reaction for every situation? Do you agree? Different situation, different actions to be taken, different emotions to be shown, and ultimately you expect a different effect or different outcome depending on the different situation and different individual. So how we are able to do that? You have seen and experienced most of the time emotions are mixed up. We are not able to distinguish the different situational needs. So same emotion will cause havoc if you use in the different situations. So for this to understand, we need to, I will not go into the details of what is mind and what are the different components of the mind. Why we should know this? All of you must be familiar with this. We have what is called conscious mind, subconscious mind, and hyperconscious or superconscious mind. But here, I request all of you to concentrate on the subconscious mind. Because normally, we use our mind not to the extent of 5 to 6%. And it is possible, my dear friends, with effort, we can make it 7 to 8%. And even if you increase by 1 to 2%, there will be a great change in our personality, great change in our attitude, great change in our behavior. And obviously, when there is a change in the behavior, there will be change in your outcome, and which is directly proportional to our success rate. So focus on the subconscious mind. Then the question comes, why need to focus on subconscious mind? This subconscious mind is like a garden. When compared to a conscious mind. Conscious mind is logical or illogical, rational rational, it is necessary for interpretation, it is necessary for analytical effect, but the subconscious mind is not like that. Its job is whatever you give, it takes and then it gives out. The way we groom the subconscious mind depends on our behavior. That's very important. So how we groom subconscious mind, what we feed, how we feed the subconscious mind, and that's very important in the development of a personality. As I told you, subconscious mind is like a garden. In the garden, if you want, you can grow roses, you can grow jasmine, you can grow fruits, or you can also grow weeds or useless plants. It's possible. It's the way, it depends on our attitude. So we try to make an attempt to feed the subconscious mind properly, and in the process to have a better output. So the grooming of the subconscious mind, you must be remembering, see, for example, from the childhood, we are being exposed by parents, then by the school, teachers and other friends, then society, all the time, different types of feeds, and most of the time, unfortunately, the negative feeds. And the more the negative feed, naturally, our personality become more of negative rather than a positive. So how can we control our subconscious mind? What we should do, even if in the younger age it has been wrongly fed, still is it possible to correct? Can we change? Can we change for the better? See, anything, once you know there is a subconscious mind and we know it is possible to change the output, make it a positive output rather than a negative output. More of this we'll be talking in our next session on 29th in the self-talk also. But anything to start, inspiration. For example, let us say you want to reduce your body weight. Okay, you saw somebody within 1 year, somebody has lost 10 kg. Okay, you get inspired. So you also want to reduce. But then whether inspiration just is enough, you need motivation to keep moving, because it has to be a consistent effort. It is not one day phenomenon. You need continuous effort, consistent effort, really with the determination and a focused effort. For that, you need continuous motivation. You should motivate yourself. Yes, I'm going to do that. I have to do that. Then only it will become a habit. So with the inspiration, you'll start something, but you need motivation to have a consistent and continuous effort, because you need practice and it has to go on for a longer time, because nothing is, especially all the factors connected with the habit or behavior, is nothing can be changed in one day. Let us remember that. We need practice. So ultimately, to convert your thoughts into habits, we need inspiration, we need motivation. That means implying continuous effort, focused effort, determined effort. And once it becomes a habit, then it becomes automatic, or we are able to internalize our habits. So it's like a plowing a field. Takes time, takes effort, and takes determination, maximum commitment and determination. See, these are the sequences. See, we get many thoughts, different type of thoughts, some needed, some not needed, some useful, some not useful. All the thoughts cannot be converted into action. You will convert only those thoughts which are useful into actions. Then, as I told you, the actions will become habits again by persistent effort. And let us remember, these habits will get converted into character and then Character is the one that is going to determine our destiny, ultimately. Let us remember the simple fact. In our subconscious mind works like a computer. You are familiar with this GIGO principle of the computer. Whatever you put in, negativity would be out. Integrity, positivity would be out. Same way, good one, good in, good out, and bad in, bad out. Same principle of GIGO as I shared with you. The subconscious mind, it does not interpret, it does not differentiate between good and bad. Whatever you put in, that will come out. I'll give you one simple example. In the childhood, when the child is not eating properly, one of the common techniques of mothers is to create a fear for them. Oh, police is coming, or doctor is coming to give injection. At that time, child gets scared and it eats up. Yeah, that time it's easily done. We don't realize. But you would have seen when the child grows, that fear of police or fear of doctor persists. Why? Because of that childhood experience, that the subconscious mind, it has gone in that, oh, police, always scared. They are there to harm me. Or a doctor, who always he gives injection. That is the focus. And that's how the subconscious mind works. You instill something continuously, it goes into that, and that comes out. And that is subconscious mind. And that's why now you know the importance of subconscious mind, why we should train that, and then how we should train that, and then how we can control our behavior, and we can have a good characters or multiple characters. Again, just I would like to share with you, not into details. There are 4 stages of learning. I think you can imagine your car driving. Most of you would have gone through that car driving. See, before you start driving, you don't know anything. Not only that, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the parts of the different car structure, or you don't know how to start, how to stop, where is the brake, where is the clutch, like that. That's what we say unconscious incompetence. From that stage, unconscious incompetence, you will be passing through conscious incompetence. When you are going through this exercise of learning the car driving, what happens? A stage will come where you will be knowing what you don't know. From the stage of you didn't know what you didn't know, now you are going to a stage of now you know what you don't know. Naturally, then you will make an attempt to learn those. So then you will pass on to conscious competence. This is, you know now something, but still you have to think a lot. For example, stopping the car. You know you have to press the brake. But still in the initial stages, you have to think not twice, thrice or 4 times. Where is the brake? How much I have to put the brake? All this you have to do consciously. What we call the conscious competence. Then of course, finally, the highest level of competence, unconscious competence. That means finally, for example, same car driving, you come to a stage without your knowledge, something comes in the front, you have to stop the car. Immediately you will be stopping the car without your thinking process, without your, without you expecting. Your leg will do that by reflex action. So that's what we call the unconscious competence. Why this is needed for you to understand, from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence, is these are the 4 stages. And as I shared with you in the beginning, we need lot of practice. We need continuous practice. We need continuous, not just inspiration, but motivation. Any skill there for that matter. Anything to achieve in life, you need continuous practice. To acquire the highest level of competence, we need practice, we need focused hard work, and that's what we need to remember. So same thing is true for soft skill also. Please remember, dear friends, nothing is learnt on one day. If you want to change, there is a effort is needed from our side, and that is possible. We are fortunate that God has given us enough energy. Only thing is we should focus that energy to the things which are really needed. So as I told you, finally we should come to the stage of automatism or internalization, where automatically everything comes, whether it is the smile or the cycling or car driving or any other technical skills or any other attitudinal skills. So that's how ultimately our aim is to have a personality with integrated with all these characters. Please, you be here only. Suddenly it went off. Sorry for that interruption. So ultimately our aim is to be a person integrated with all these good values. So as I shared with you in the beginning, our focus is on looking at myself, our strength and our weaknesses. Not just looking at our strength and weaknesses, make continuous effort to strengthen our strength and weaken our weakness. And that is the focus. As I shared with you, please remember the role of subconscious mind and why we should concentrate on that and the different parts of learning process. Because ultimately our aim is to become competent. And ultimately our aim is to look at ourselves. And ultimately, by looking at ourselves, we should be able to strengthen our strength and weaken our weakness. This you are already, most of you are familiar. The knowledge, skill and attitude, the three components which are necessary for the development of a habit, any habit. But you may be knowing, most of you may be knowing that just knowledge is essential, no doubt. IQ, you are familiar. Skill also is essential, no doubt. But if you have to acquire the highest level of competence, any skill for that matter, our attitude is very important. So unless we change the attitude, unless we focus on this attitude, change of attitude, if it is not good, if it is not facilitating, then all the time we will be brooding over, we will be worrying for something, and then we will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve. So it's very important for us. Look at ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses, and definitely make an attempt to nullify or to reduce or to block our weaknesses and facilitate our strengths. So again, I would like to bring to your notice, one of the very important things. See, nowadays, our college education, the focus of education is knowledge and skill. What we call IQ, intelligent quotient and emotional quotient. Focus is on IQ, not on emotional quotient. But at the time of interview, when you are seeking a job, nowadays companies or any organization, they don't focus on the IQ. They focus on the emotional quotient. So not just the physical health, mental health also is important, because emotional quotient ultimately depends on our mental strength, mental health, mental stability, emotional stability. So unless we make an attempt to develop this emotional quotient, now they have introduced two more terminologies, the SQ social quotient, how we are managing in the society, and of course, a spiritual quotient. Because if you really see, all these are very essential in addition to the IQ. When you compare your different roles, you remember, as a father, mother, son, daughter, different roles simultaneously. So for a family health, for a professional health, social health, spiritual health. So all these are very, very important ultimately for our competence and ultimately for our success. So let us focus on emotional intelligence also, in addition to intelligent quotient. Please just go through this. Very nice small story. All of you must be familiar. See, there was a giant who was bullying and harassing the children in the village. One day, a 17-year-old shepherd boy came to visit his brothers and asked, "Why don't you stand up and fight the giant?" The brothers were terrified and they replied, "Don't you see he is too big to hit?" But the David said, "No, he is not too big to hit, but he is too big to miss." See, this is what I was telling you, the attitude. First, it was a fear and excuse for not doing, not achieving. The second one, finding ways and means to achieve. Change of perception, change of attitude, ultimate difference in the result. So my friends, from dependence, just these are the things I'll be very briefly talking to you, another 15-20 minutes. From dependence, dependence means you are depending everything from others. You are not able to perform anything. From that stage, we need to go for independence. That means we are able to do ourselves. But is that enough? Definitely it is not enough. That means you have to go a step further. What is that? Interdependence. Because it's impossible for us to achieve anything alone now. Anything is a teamwork. Anything, you will be meeting different people with the different emotions, different attitude, different culture, different nationality, different gender. Naturally you have to adjust. You have to have a give and take policy. So ultimately what we need to achieve is interdependence. And for that, we have to naturally, there are some critical factors which are necessary for the growth, which we will be very briefly telling you. And then those who want to have more details, I will tell you the books, which one to refer. As you can see here, from dependence to independence, we need to have a clarity in our goals so that we can prioritize. Naturally, to achieve, we have to be proactive after analyzing ourselves. And then from independence to interdependence, again, the relationship with others. For that, you need to understand others. We need to work for a win-win situation so that there is energy between the teams members. So very briefly, we will try to explain one by one, very shortly, very briefly. So clarity. When we say clarity, clarity of what? There must be a clarity of our goal. What exactly we want in our life? Please remember, this want will change as we grow. Before marriage, after we become parents, when we become old, the goal keeps changing. So depending on the situation, depending on the time, whatever goal you select, it should be relevant. Of course, we should understand the pros and cons and the feasibility. And of course, we should have a clear-cut plan, mental picture, where we visualize our goal so that it becomes easy for planning and easy for execution. And at the motivation level, ultimately, as I told you, We should have the commitment. We should have the determination. We should be on the track. So, to be on the track, what are the other components that are needed? You know, most of us have got what is called two circles. You know, let us say I have to prepare for an examination after 1 week. Every day I am finding some excuse. Today it's raining too much, so no reading. Tomorrow it's very hot, so I could not read. Day after tomorrow, unexpectedly my friends came, so I went for a party outside, so I could not read. So every day some excuses. What will happen the previous day of examination? Naturally, it will be full of tension because we are not able to prepare well, and last minute preparation not possible. Naturally, we will be getting tensed up, and then we will be finding excuses why we are able to do, why we are able not to do. So that is what we call the circle of concern. You are worrying about so many things, finding excuses for not achieving what you are supposed to achieve, what we call the circle of concern. That's what is called the reactive focus. We are reactive, finding excuses, or with the full of fear or uncertainty. Ultimately, we are not able to achieve what we want to achieve. That is what we call a reactive focus, who are with the full of circle of concern, worrying about things which they have no control. Like I told you, raining, so I didn't read. Raining, we have no control raining. So whether that can be an excuse for not doing the things. So on the other hand, can we expand instead of living our dreams in the circle of concern? Can we fulfill our dreams and action in the circle of influence? That's what we call proactive. So you should be clearly distinguishing between the reactive and the proactive nature of a personality. So what is proactive? I will be looking at the situation or the problems or the task which are under my control. Please remember this, it's very important. Whatever situation, whatever problem, whatever task to be completed where I am responsible, I will be looking at these things where I have the direct control, and that I will try my level best. I'll focus completely. I will complete the task with full commitment on a timely manner. So that is what is the circle of influence. And when we expand our circle of influence instead of circle of concern, we become proactive. When we are proactive, we take the initiative, we motivate our team, we are focusing on our completion of the task, and easily we are able to complete the task. So this is, I hope you understood the difference between reactive and proactive focus. And our aim should be to become as proactive as possible. How it is possible? We need to imbibe more and more positive emotions instead of negative emotions. Because you have seen, the negative emotions are the one causing the weakness. When we analyze ourselves, you will know, am I wasting my time, my energy in negative emotions? Can I replace my negative emotions with the positive emotions? The more positive emotions, more positivity, then definitely you are more proactive. One of the best way to strengthen your strengths and weaken your weaknesses. Again, please all of you take your paper and pencil or pen. You can see 9 stars. The exercise is you have to touch all the 9 stars within 4 lines at one go without lifting your pen. I hope all of you understood this one. Please do the exercise. Even though I am not able to see you, please do the exercise. All the 9 stars should be touched without lifting your pen, but with not more than 4 lines. Maximum 4 lines. You should not lift your pen. Once you start, you should end with the touching all the 9 stars, but maximum 4 lines. I hope you understood the exercise. I'm sure you will think it is not possible. Please try. I will give you 1 minute. All the delegates, please try to complete this, touching all the 9 stars in 4 lines without lifting the pen. Yes. I'm sure some of you may be able to complete, but most of the time, what we have seen, people think it's not at all possible. But look at now, you will be surprised how easily, again, what is happening? I'm not doing anything. You will be surprised now how in 4 lines it's completed. Just see this. So simple when I do. Just see, without lifting. Did you see this? What is the message? We have to become a very good problem solvers, problem shooters, not problem creators. See, most of the time we think somebody else is responsible for the problem, or it's not our job to solve the problem, or sometimes we say we are solving the problem, but we are complicating the problem. So can we be a good problem solvers? It's possible. As we shared with you, first we need to become proactive. We should be ready to self-analyze critically and objectively. And then, of course, we should be ready for lateral thinking. Thinking out of the box, thinking laterally, or looking at the different options. Then it is possible to be a problem solver. Third, very important thing. See, when somebody shouts at us, somebody shouts at you, what we will be doing? You know, there are different possibilities. Somebody may shout back, somebody may even hit the opponent, or somebody may run off from the scene, somebody may go on cursing behind, or somebody may go on brooding over what I am unfortunate fellow, why I am like this, why somebody is scolding me, I have not done anything. Somebody may go, you know, the different responses possible. But one very important question we should ask ourselves, who is responsible for choosing the response? Who has the freedom to choose the response? Answer will be, without any doubt, it is, I have the freedom to choose the response. I need not give the freedom, I should not, in fact, give the freedom to somebody else. Somebody scolds, Whether I will scold or I will keep quiet or I will tell him in a friendly way is left to me, not to the opponent. Opponent is already scolded, nothing can be done. So what I can do for that, to choose a correct response, we should have a critical mind. We should have an analytical mind. Self-analysis. Again, what is best for this situation? If you can critically analyze and think and come to a decision, unemotional decision, unbiased decision, thinking what is best for me, then we will choose a correct response, and that's what we should do. If we can choose a correct response, depending on the situation, after thorough analysis, then you will never be wrong. And there will not be any occasion to repent later. We have seen several times people repent later. I should not have done this. I should have done that. I should not have done this. Unnecessarily we repent later. Instead of that, think before doing the things, not once, but twice or thrice. Ultimately analyze properly based on your strength and your weaknesses. And look at the proactive approach with the different possibilities. And then let us select a proper, appropriate response, which will be good for us. So focus comes, unless we look at things differently and act things differently. Same thing, we will be all the time brooding over, all the time cursing others, all the time finding excuses, and all the time blaming others for our failures. So can we look at differently? Can we act differently? It's possible. You have seen it is possible, and it should be possible. All these can be learned very, very easily, of course, with a continuous effort. In this connection, we also should know some of the personalities. You must be familiar, but aggressive, assertive, and submissive personality. What do you mean by aggressive? Somebody who always expects him to obey. Please, when I say him, or it's also included her. So depending on the person, aggressive means always don't talk, don't discuss, don't argue, obey me. These type of personalities. They will not allow others to talk, no discussion, they decide, and that's the end of it. Whereas submissive, whatever other says, you agree, and all the time brooding over what to do. My life is like this only. I am unfortunate. I have to all the time listen to others, like that. Submissive. So what type of personality we want? It takes us to the assertive personality. Naturally, I'm very sure some of you may be familiar. What is this assertive personality? And that's what we need to. Somebody who is very firm, somebody who can describe the problems or the situation, somebody who is confident, not only himself, but also he will induce confidence in others, induce trust in others, take others into confidence, values others' opinion, and based on that, he will discuss. Give respect, take respect. That will be his philosophy. So, taking into consideration the emotions and the thinking of others, but in a firm way. Please understand, assertive person is not timid, not aggressive. He is very bold, courageous, but he is not rude. That's what we have to remember. So, from the, yeah. Already at the beginning I had shown you. So from dependence, now we have learned some aspects of how to become independent. Self-esteem, that means somebody with the self-confidence. Self-control, who is not impulsive, who is not aggressive, but who is assertive. Self-analysis, we have seen to understand our weakness and strength. So from independence, how to go to interdependence? What is the important factor? Again, I will not go into the details of the different type of relationship, but it's very important for us to understand to know this different type of relationship. Basically there are 4 types of relationship. I'll start with the left lower one, lose-lose relationship. Some of you can guess what is this lose-lose relationship. At the cost of my destruction, I am destroying others. That is the worst type of relationship. Even if I get the trouble, even if I ending up losing, still I want other person to get harm. The worst type of relationship. But the relationship what we see very commonly is the lower right side, win-lose. What is this win-lose relationship? Always I have to win, irrespective of what happens to others. This is a typical our parent-children relationship, or teacher-student relationship, or boss-subordinate relationship. This is a common relationship, win-lose relationship. Always I have to win. Whatever I am telling is right, and others have to obey. Like that. That is another type of relationship, lose-win relationship. What is this? I don't mind losing for the sake of others. Once in a while it is okay, but every time if you go on losing, our confidence will be lost. We will not be able to achieve. We will be going losing, and we will not be able to reach the path of success. So my friends, the most ideal relationship, what is really needed, where you can enjoy the relationship, where the relationship is meaningful and beneficial for both, is what is the win-win situation. So what is this win-win situation? Where when you are assertive, you have the consideration for other party, and you are making sure both parties get the benefit by the relationship. So it's a mutual, respectful, trustworthy, loving relationship. And that's why I said it's the most enjoyable relation. Please remember, my friends, to achieve this win-win situation, you need to have the courage, confidence, and the consideration and the care for your opponent. Then only it is possible to achieve this win-win situation. Otherwise, it's not possible. Unless we have the confidence and courage, unless we are caring for others, loving others, consideration for others, concern for others, then only it is possible. But ultimately, what is the benefit of this win-win situation, win-win relationship? It's a mutual benefit. It's not your way, not my way, but it's our way. Real facilitatory factor for a teamwork based on mutual understanding, trust, and love. And that's what is needed. I think we should focus on the win-win situation, whether it is a university, any institution, any company, any industry. Team making, this is the critical factor. The assertive personality, who will be a very good leader, always tries for a win-win situation. A proactive person, again, in combination with the assertive personality, again, we will try for win-win situation. A leader who is able to analyze himself, who knows his strength and weakness, again, combined with the proactivity and assertiveness, always try for win-win situation. So the most favorable combination for a leader or a teacher or any level, as a father, mother, is the proactive personality and an assertive personality. Definitely he will try for a win-win situation, and that should be our aim. Try for win-win situation. That is the ability to express one's own feelings and convictions, balanced with consideration for the thoughts and feelings of others. give respect, take respect, total trust, and total consideration, care and consideration for others. And that will be the win-win relationship will be the result of that. But what are needed for that? As I shared with you, all these to make the relationship meaningful, all these are needed. Concern, trust, love, all of you are familiar. But only thing is, main problem with us human beings, all this we know. Love is important, good communication is important, it should be enjoyable, all those. But we expect everything from other side. We say somebody else is responsible. My dear friends, we need to start from ourselves. Then we should make a difference. Automatically, others will understand us better. So before you expect others to understand, we need to make an attempt to understand others. And that's how the life changes, the relationship changes. That's how we should become not just loving others, not just taking care, not just helping. We should have a trust for each other, and our communication should be pleasant and meaningful and relevant. There is a very good story, a real story, very good message. Even if you forget everything, just remember this message. As a young Scots boy, Andrew Carnegie came to America and started doing odd jobs. He ended up as one of the largest steel manufacturers in the United States. At one time, he had 43 millionaires working for him. For millionaire is a big guy. Someone asked Mr. Carnegie how he dealt with people. Dear friends, please concentrate. He replied, dealing with people is like digging gold. When you go digging for an ounce of gold, you have to move tons of dirt to get an ounce of gold. But when you go digging for gold, you don't go looking for the dirt, but you go looking for the gold. I hope you understood the importance, and this message should be very, very clear to you. Please understand, interaction with every human being, every situation is like digging for gold. And naturally, when we are digging for gold, there will be tons and tons of dirt. When our focus is on the dirt, you are not able to achieve what you want to achieve. But when the focus is on gold, we are able to go get the gold, we are able to enjoy that gold. So life will become more meaningful and less stressful. I think that is the focus. See, nowadays, as you have seen, anywhere you go, whether it is a marriage or a cinema hall or anywhere, when the people meet, what they talk? They start complaining against their boss or against their family, against politicians, against so many people, as if I am the only one who is the perfect person in this whole world, without realizing I am also not playing my role properly. Because if you really see, for example, I have seen people, somebody who is blaming corruption of the politicians. When the situation comes for them, have they shown their integrity? Several examples are there. They are also doing the same thing. They are corrupt and they want to show that others should not be corrupt. How it is possible? So first we have to be the role model. We have to show it is possible to live without corruption. We have to show, yes, I am not going to hurt others. There's no need to hurt others. We have to show. Then it is possible to change others. In the society, there is a very wrong impression. By advice, we can change the people. No. Even the children, nobody will be changed by advice. Only the way we can change other people is by being a role model. We have to show certain behavior. It is possible. It's possible to be nice. It is possible to be productive. It is possible to be completing the task on time. No, you have to show. You have to guide the team. Then it is possible that others will change, others will cooperate, others will trust us. Unless we do that, there is no point in simply giving lectures or doing something, but at the same time, not at all following that. See, when there is a gap between what we talk and what we do, everything fails. No value for our talk. I think none of us should be in that situation. Whatever we talk, we should be able to follow. I agree, 100% perfection not possible. Life is never ideal. There are so many challenges, but we can try. And it is possible to follow certain things, and definitely we can be a role model. As I shared with you, this is the problem with the society. See, I expect others to understand me, help me, excuse me. See, when I commit a mistake, I expect others to forgive me. When I'm in difficulty, I expect the other people run and help me. But what I do when others are in difficulty, what I do when others are committing a mistake, am I shouting at them? Am I telling them nicely and guiding them so that they can correct their mistake? This is what is important. So can I reciprocate in the same way what I expect from others? Again, friends, please remember, I am not telling anything for you to do which is not available. What you expect from others, how others should behave with you, how others should interact with you, we need to interact in the same way. Then the life becomes meaningful, life becomes pleasant, life becomes much less stressful. So ultimately our aim should be to achieve what is called unconditional relationship. What I mean by this unconditional relationship, I am not expecting from others. I help others, but I don't expect from others. Okay, I am helping for my enjoyment. I feel happy to help others, yes. I forgive others, yes, for my sake. To reduce my tension, I forgive others, not for somebody else's sake. So when we have that type of thinking, we try to develop what is called unconditional relationship. That will be the most enjoyable relationship. And it can happen when we do the things the same way what we expect from others. I hope this message is clear. So ultimately, our life, see, with the proactive approach, with the continuous analysis of our life, knowing our strengths and weaknesses, becoming proactive, expanding our circle of concern, that's becoming more proactive, and becoming more assertive, and trying for a win-win situation. See, it is possible to develop a state of our mind. You know what the spiritual people tell you, what is called detached attachment. Please don't mistake me. When I say detached attachment means is not bothering your family or your work, or it's not botheration. We should not mistake that. What I'm trying to tell you, you are helping, you are there as a trustworthy person, but emotionally you are detached because you know the life is not permanent. Nobody is ultimately yours. When you disappear from this world, we don't take anybody. That's why some amount of detachment is very much essential. So for that, we should be clearly distinguishing between facts and perception. As we said, we have to have a thorough, inquisitive mind to search for facts and not to react based on the perception, based on our imagination, based on our assumption. Same way, we have to go much higher than the knowledge. As I shared with the beginning, the emotional quotient, the spiritual quotient. Clearly distinguish between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is what you read from the book, theory. Wisdom is applying that knowledge in an appropriate way, in a relevant way, in the correct situation. That is wisdom. Where you have the insight into the knowledge, where you can critically analyze the knowledge, and you learn from the experience from others. So that's how we develop the wisdom. So we should clearly distinguish Knowledge is not enough. IQ is not enough. We need emotional quotient. We need social quotient. We need spiritual quotient. For that, we need to go a higher level. For that, we should be willing to learn from our own experience, from others' experience. And it's very important, again, friends, we should be able to distinguish between religion and spirituality. I think there's so much a mix-up. See, religion is a guide to have a life which is meaningful. By praying, by understanding the God, and by understanding the nature of our life, so many things. But for example, see, prayer. Praying is important. Why it is important? It is to purify ourselves and to bring out God within ourselves. So we need to realize God is there in every human being, irrespective of the religion. This understanding is spirituality. Once you are in this level of spirituality, we will never fight for religion. We will never fight in the name of religion. And as you have seen, no religion says you fight with your fellow human being. So, my dear friends, for a detached attachment, for a meaningful relationship, to complete your task on time, in a meaningful way, in a pleasant way, in a courteous way, and creating the harmony wherever you are, among your team, among the friends, and in the society. And that's what brings the meaning of our life. And that's what will help you to leave the footprints before we disappear from this world. I think I'm very sure some of the messages what we gave, it's very much practical, very much possible to incorporate. Of course, you have to read some more, practice some more, all those, and find another teacher if needed, training if needed. But let me assure you, it is possible to be a role model. It's possible to reduce the gap between what we talk and what we preach. And let us remember, by giving advice, we cannot change anybody. If at all to change somebody, we need to practice what we talk. Thanks a lot for this great opportunity. Thanks a lot for your attention. And I think all the question answers will be answered at the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The next session will be by Mrs. Carol Mathias. She is a faculty member of psychology and the senior student counselor at Prague Medical and Health Sciences. I request Mrs. Carol Mathias to take over.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suhail, for that introduction. As Dr. Suhail just mentioned, I am a senior lecturer in psychology and the senior student counselor here at Radha University. This is in fact my 8th year here, and I've been 17 years in the UAE, and I have a career of 25 plus years in the field of psychology. I am a psychologist and a counselor as well. And I'm really happy to see that there are many attendees today. And without wasting a minute, I would like to start on my presentation. So today's presentation is about time management. So before I begin with the session, I'd just like to quote Shakespeare in his book, The Merry Wives of Windsor, where he said, "Better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late." And I think it's very true, and you will agree with me. So having said that, I would like the IT to please show the introductory video. Okay, so I think you get the message from this video. And my personal message to you would be is that time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. And once you've lost it, you can never get it back. I think you'll agree with me on that. And I'm going to continue now with my presentation. Okay. I'm unable to switch the slides. IT, can you please help me?
And just send you somebody to help you with you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, IT, for your help. So let's take a look at the contents of today's session. The first thing we're going to talk about is whether time management is really possible. And some of you might say, no, it isn't possible to manage my time. I've tried a lot, but it's not possible. But let's find out a little bit more about that. We'll also take a look at an overview of strategies that you can use and some self-management tips. And then we will move from procrastination to being proactive. As Professor Rao just said, we need to be proactive. So I will be taking you through this. And then there will be also practical exercises from time to time. So let's start with this message by Lord Chesterfield that we need to take care of the minutes and the hours will take care of themselves. So remember, if you don't use them, you will lose them. So time management is basically the process of organizing your time and planning. So how you divide your time between activities. And you'll find that spending a little time in planning your day will help to save a couple of hours in a day. And it can also help to reduce stress. Okay. All right, so now the question is whether time management is really possible. So let's find out. Do you manage your time? I'm sure you have that paper and pen still with you that you used for the previous session. Do you manage your time? Or does time manage you? So let's take a look at this activity that you have to do now, since you have that paper and pen with you still. You can write down on what we're going to call list A, some of the things that you usually do in a day. So I'd like you to write the first few thoughts that come naturally. So the first natural response that comes to you. What are some of the things that you usually do in a day? I give you a couple of seconds to jot that down. All right, I think you would have been able to jot down at least 3 or 4 things. All right, so let's move on now to list B. So I want you to write down now some of the things that you should be doing in a day. You need to be careful when writing this one. what are some of the things that you should be doing in a day? Now, this is going to be your list B. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. And please be honest. No one can see that list except you. All right. So now we're going to compare the two lists. So you have list A and list B. Which list consists of time wasters? Your answers might be different. So some might say list A, some might say list B. And which tasks on the two lists would you like to swap or reshuffle? Is there anything on the list that you would like to swap, change something? Maybe you want to move things up or down or move them into the list from list A to B or B to A. Okay, congratulations. You took the first step of managing your tasks. And isn't that good? Wasn't it fun? It can be fun. So time management, or basically managing yourself to manage your time, is not really difficult. It's the, like Professor Rao said, it's the attitude that matters, whether you want to change it or not. So when are you going to get started? When are you going to move on to the next step? Today? Tomorrow? Sometime later? Uncertain, I'm sure. Well, that's why we're having this session today. So just remember that your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow, because when tomorrow comes, it's today again. And you might try to cheat and say day after tomorrow, but one day, day after tomorrow is also going to be today. So it's always better for you to start today. So let's take a look at an overview of strategies here. We've got a couple of strategies. You've probably heard about these before, and you're probably already practicing them in your life. Also, what I'd like to tell you at the outset is all of us are different. We're unique. So what suits you might not suit someone else, and what suits some third person might probably suit you. So it all depends on what other kinds of strategies that you can apply in your life, and which are tried and tested. If you feel something doesn't work with you, you can always use another strategy. All right, so we have planning and organization first. You've already done a little bit of that first step when you did list A and B and you try to reshuffle or swap or try to look for the time wasters. So you can plan and organize. And then there's goal setting. Please remember with goal setting, like you can see here, probably know about goals already, but please remember when you're setting your goals, try to make them specific as possible. Try to be realistic. Like you would like to do a whole lot of things, but maybe you can just do a little thing, just one specific thing, and you're going to put that down specifically. You can have a start time and an end time for it. You have a deadline for both, to start and to finish. And please, by all means, if you're preparing a schedule, make it flexible. Read my lips, make it flexible, because this is where schedules fail, is when you don't make it flexible, when you try to become a robot and try to rigidly follow that schedule. So make sure that your goals on your schedule are specific and they're realistic and they are flexible, because that's what's going to get you success. And then prioritization, we've heard a lot about it. You can see in this picture here, you have a whole list of things and all you have to do is prioritize them in the order of importance and urgency. I'm going to do a little exercise on that in a little bit. What you can also do is, already you've got list A and B, maybe you can prioritize from those two lists what you would like to tackle first. And delegation, don't think delegation is very easy. It's like passing on the task to someone else, because delegation also requires effective communication, because any failure to communicate the task that needs to be delegated to the appropriate person, and if there's a failure in the communication, then you'll be wasting time. It's going to be a whole waste of time delegating to someone who has not understood the instructions. And then two more strategies are stress management and self-management. Today, I will be talking about self-management, giving you some tips to manage yourself. And stress management will be dealt in the next session on the 29th of March. So here is the priority matrix. Now this priority matrix was given by initially by Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower, and it was later popularized by Stephen Covey, his very famous name, needs no introduction. And this priority matrix goes on the basis of your tasks, whether they are urgent or important. If they're not urgent and if they're not important too, they still go onto that matrix. So we have these 4 quadrants. You've probably seen this before. For those who haven't, let me tell you a little about it. The tasks that are urgent and important are the things that you must do. You must do them now or as early as possible because they're urgent and important at the same time. So examples would be problems, deadlines, a couple of calls which are urgent and important. And then you might have things which are urgent, not really important. Maybe you would want to delegate them, but these tasks should be done. Like checking your emails or answering emails, maybe you have someone to help you with that, or to organize a meeting, or to send a link to an online meeting. It can be delegated to someone. It need not be done by you, but it should be done anyway because it's urgent. And then we have the tasks which are important, but they're not urgent, so you can move them to later. They can be done later, but they need to be done anyway. And then finally, we have this last quadrant, it says delete. And this is for tasks which are not urgent and not important. But can you just take a look at the tasks in this box? Trivial issues, Facebook, coffee breaks. Oh, no. I think there's a mistake here, right? Because these are the things that we love doing. But these things don't have to be done. And it sometimes seems inconceivable to say, oh, but coffee breaks, I need my coffee. Okay, you can cut down on your caffeine, it's going to be good for health, and maybe you can cut down on the number of breaks that you have. And Facebook, yeah, if you still have time after you finish all of these tasks, you can still go to Facebook and check out all those trivial issues and have your coffee breaks. So now your task is to take those 2 lists that you have with you, list A and list B, and try to figure whether they fall into the urgent important quadrant, the urgent not important quadrant, the important not urgent quadrant, or the not urgent not important quadrant. So I'll give you just a few seconds to just check that out, and maybe you can take a screenshot of the screen and keep it so that you can just refer to your list A and B and work on it later if you don't have time right now. So I'll just give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, and if you do it truthfully, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked to see how you thought that certain things just have to be done, may not really be required to be done. And remember one more thing, although you have examples here, these examples, they might not apply to everyone the same way. It all depends on the kind of a situation you are in. Like say, for example, a crying baby. A crying baby might be urgent, important for some, but maybe it's urgent but not important for some, and they can delegate that task to someone else to take care of the baby. Okay, or something like a kitchen fire. A kitchen fire is something like help, urgent, important, it has to be done right now, or someone's going to lose their life. So, okay, so you can look at each of these, and it would vary based on the importance or the urgency that it has for each one of them. So that's with your list A and B. I think you can keep that aside now, and we can move on. So you have a time management chart here, which probably a lot of you have. You have lots of schedules, lots of charts. This one is for the week and for every hour of the day and night. And you can also have a monthly planner, a yearly planner. But the important thing is that first you need to make sure that you're putting down a specific activity. Like it says here, you can use a different color for each activity or based on the importance or the urgency, so that you focus more on them. Maybe you can highlight the ones which are important or urgent. You can use your creativity with that, but just make sure that you keep it flexible and you take adequate breaks in between. Don't take too long breaks, like just go off for a nap and then end up sleeping for 3 or 4 hours, like the man in the video. Okay, so you could use this chart. At the same time, it also brings Pareto's principle to me, it kind of flashes that what I was doing today with my presentation, just before I was finalizing it, I feel I did follow the 80-20 rule. Because according to Pareto, for many events, you have 80% of the effects or the results come from 20% of the effort. Surprising, right? And sometimes what we also feel is that 80% of the effort will give you 20% of the results. You think, is there a mistake here? No, but it's true. Like when I was finalizing my presentation, I realized that the more important thing was the concept of time management and overcoming procrastination, which actually gave me these results. But the main theme actually took probably only 20% of the effort that I put in. And the 80% of my effort would probably show to you as just 20%, as in formatting pictures or, putting colors and backgrounds and fonts and, font size and color and all of these things. So 80% of my effort would show as 20%. 20% of my effort would show as 80%. So that's Pareto's principle. So what you need to do is work smart. Like they say, don't work hard, work smart. So there's also this 2-minute rule, which I feel it's quite fascinating, and you've probably been using it through your lifetime. And I've been using it, and I realized when I heard about it that, hey, yes, I'm using this. So if you feel that something's going to take you less than 2 minutes, then you do it now, right now. You just do that now, because it's just going to take you less than 2 minutes. But if you feel that task is going to take you more than 2 minutes, you start the task for 2 minutes anyway. Maybe you can just make a head start with something there, or maybe you can just get the feel of that task. And at the same time, if you have a distraction and you're working on something, all you do is wait for 2 minutes. Wait for 2 minutes for the distraction to pass, and then say, okay, let me get back to whatever I'm doing. Now, say, for example, I have to call the laundry, and I've been procrastinating it for some time, and I know it's going to take me less than 2 minutes. But the only thing is that I just can't get myself and think, oh, I have to call the laundry. I have to call the guy at the laundry. I have to make an appointment. But it's just going to take me less than 2 minutes. I just pick the phone and I say, please come and collect my clothes. Right? So there are things which might not really need a lot of your time, but you can attend to it, and it's done. Pronto, it's done. All right, so as I was saying, we're not really managing time, but we're managing ourselves. And when we manage ourselves, you find that you can manage your tasks and the amount of time that you give to certain tasks, the order or the priority in which you carry out those tasks. So the first thing is for you to manage yourself, because as we discuss these points here, you will find that, hey, yes, it does matter. This does make a difference to time management. So first thing is to be self-aware. Be aware, am I procrastinating or not? Where am I? Who am I? Where am I going? Where am I heading out to? What do I want? What are my goals for today? What are my goals for this week or the month or the year? By the end of this month, what do I hope to achieve? So be self-aware, be aware of what you're going through. Probably even techniques like mindfulness can help you to be more aware of yourself and your surroundings as well. Inculcate self-discipline. If you inculcate self-discipline, you'll find that you're able to follow that schedule for which you must have spent 10 to 20 minutes doing. And if you don't use it, it's no point. But if you inculcate self-discipline, you would say, all right, I've done this, now let me do this. And okay, now I've done a lot, let me take a break, let me relax for some time. So you're inculcating that self-discipline, and it's going to help you with managing your time as well. Be assertive. Just now, Professor Rao spoke about being assertive, and be assertive is really important in the sense that you shouldn't bite off more than you can chew. So if someone's requesting you to do something, and you have a plate full already, okay, you've got your plate full, and you've got so much to do, and if you say yes to that person, you might be hurting that person, but at the same time, you'll be hurting yourself, sorry. You'll be hurting yourself, you'll be making that person happy if you say yes. And then what's going to happen is your plate is going to be overfull, and probably you will not finish the work that you have to do for yourself because you're helping the other person. So in this case, You need to be assertive. You need to say no politely, and you can say, I would love to help you, really want to help you, but right now I've got this to do. Maybe I can help you with your work 4 days later. That's when I've finished the tasks that I have to do. So you could put it in that way, put it very politely, but you need to convey to them that you cannot do it because you will be going through a lot of inconvenience if you don't do your stuff, right? And then thinking positive. Okay, thinking positive is very important, because if you're like thinking about procrastination and say, oh, I keep procrastinating all the time, oh, I'm such a horrible person, and you're thinking negative, and you're thinking, it's time management, overcoming procrastination, these workshops not going to help me. It's useless. Okay, I'm going to attend, but then it's not really going to help me. But then if you're thinking of it positively and say, okay, let me give it a go. Let me try it out. Let me just give it one shot. I'm sure it's going to work for me. So thinking positive, and things will turn out positively. Enjoy what you do. If you enjoy what you do, no matter how boring you feel it is, try it out a little bit and get into the task and actually tell yourself that you're enjoying it, and you'll find that you will start enjoying it. And last but not the least, in fact, the most important is to be grateful and to be thankful. Be grateful at all times. Be thankful for whatever your situation is, and you'll find that there are good times ahead of you. You definitely see that, and this is a tried and tested tip. Being grateful and thankful is always going to work out for the best. All right, so besides those tips, also you need to have a healthy lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle doesn't only mean eating healthy food. It also involves having adequate sleep, having adequate exercise, at least 10 to 20 minutes of exercise, even if it means walking or one place jogging, okay, or owing to COVID and the lockdown and people not going out that freely, so you can actually even to one place jogging. I mean, taking a break, relaxing, taking some time to yourself, thinking positive, talking positive, feeling positive, eating healthy food, and being motivated, and stop smoking, cut down on the cigarettes, the alcohol, and the caffeine. Okay, so that way you're going to have a healthy lifestyle. And thinking positive, feeling positive is also part of a healthy lifestyle. And just mentioned by Professor Rao, it's about EQ, that's emotional quotient, or it is derived from emotional intelligence. So developing your emotional intelligence, you will be aware of your emotions and how your emotions can increase or decrease your energy. So if you feeling very low, feeling sad, you'll find there is a decrease in your energy to complete your tasks. That's going to affect your task management. And if you feel that you're elated and you're happy and you're really in a good mood and you have a surge of energy, then you're going to complete all the tasks that you're required to do. So if you look at it, developing your emotional intelligence, developing yourself, and at the same time having a healthy lifestyle can really be helpful. But then, I don't know who invented this word, but. There's always a but. So, but then, what happens when we say, yes, I'll just do it tomorrow? So we go on to the topic of procrastination. So procrastination is said to be the foundation of all disasters. But as Mel Robbins says, procrastination is not a form of laziness at all. It's a coping mechanism for stress. When we're stressed, we want to feel relaxed, and then we think, okay, let me just procrastinate and let me just push this thing away to an indefinite time. And that's a coping mechanism for stress. And Mel Robbins also says that if you procrastinate, it doesn't mean you are a procrastinator, but you have a habit of procrastinating. That's the good news. The good news is that you have a habit which you can break. Okay? They say that bad habits die hard, but you can change and break this habit of procrastinating. And even though it's laziness is a cause, it doesn't mean that procrastination is a form of laziness. All right. So let's take a look at what procrastination is all about. So procrastination is postponing certain tasks to a later date, to tomorrow, to an indefinite time. It also consists of avoiding even starting the task that needs to be done, and also involves doing, yes, doing things which are easy, which are pleasurable, less stressful, less urgent tasks in place of the tasks which are difficult, not pleasurable, stressful, and urgent. So you see how it works, right? So you're pushing things away, and like Mel Robbins says, you just want to deal with your stress. It's too stressful for you to do the task which is urgent or the task which is difficult. But what we do is we try to push it away, but then pushing it away doesn't mean that it's gone. It's gone forever. You have to face it sometime of your life, right? At some point, you have to face it and you will have to complete it. So let's watch a short and amusing video about procrastination. I'm sure you will enjoy this. I request the IT to please play the video.
This morning I got up and got ready quickly because I had to get a lot of stuff done. I sat down at my desk to start getting my stuff done and I spilled my coffee, so I got a sponge to clean it up, and I figured I'd take an extra minute to clean the whole desk because a clean desk would help me get my stuff done. When I was finished, I realized I hadn't eaten anything and I didn't want to be hungry while I got my stuff done, so I went into the kitchen and I was out of cereal. When I got to the grocery store, I remembered a bunch of other crap I needed to get, and I figured I was already there, so I did my shopping for the week so I didn't have to worry about it while I got my stuff done. When I got home, I didn't feel like cereal anymore, and so I made an omelet and I did the dishes so I wouldn't have to do them after I got my stuff done, and then I went out to get some oil from the hardware store because my desk chair is kind of squeaky and I didn't want to be distracted by a squeaky chair while I got my stuff done. When I got back, it was getting kind of late and I knew I wouldn't be able to get my stuff done today, so I started watching the Twilight Zone marathon on TV. I just have to make sure I get to bed early because I want to be well rested tomorrow so I can get my stuff done.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. And the only question which comes to mind to me is, did he get his stuff done? Right, so let me continue with the presentation. So let's take a look at the causes. I told you one of the causes is laziness, but then there's also the fear, the hatred of doing it, not wanting to do something because it could be intimidating. Okay, so there could be fear associated with it, laziness, or there's lack of self-discipline, or there's a lack of motivation to do something, or it's too stressful, and perfectionism. Perfectionism can also be a cause of procrastination. It's like, I want to do this job as well and to the best of my ability. But then if I can't do it, then I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to procrastinate to a time where I have all the time in the world to myself to do it. And perfectionism can also cause stress, by the way. Then also, if you have a lack of skill or poor use of time, then you would want to procrastinate. Well, let me give you an example of myself with reference to lack of skill. Now, when I first joined the university, I was teaching psychology, and I had to make a poster presentation about the course. And I had done several oral presentations, but never done a poster presentation. Although a poster presentation is similar to doing a PowerPoint, you do it on a slide with the required template. So I asked for the template to be emailed to me so that I could have an idea as to how to go about it. And initially, I looked at it and I said, okay, let me start off. But then because of the lack of skill, because I had never done a presentation before, a poster presentation before, it was freaking me out. And I was really troubled at the fact that I had to submit it by a particular deadline. And the reason, because of the lack of skill, I started procrastinating. I said, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And every time I would go to it, I would look at it and say, okay, not really sure if what I'm doing is right. And I just kept doing a little bit at a time, trying to enjoy myself doing it, using all those rules of not procrastinating. And then one fine day, I get an email from the coordinator one evening saying that all your poster presentations have to be delivered into my email inbox by tomorrow morning at 10:30. And that woke me up that I had to submit it the next morning at 10:30. And this was about 5:30 in the evening. So guess what I did? I started working at it. I took the template and I tried to look at it and I put in all the information that I needed about the psychology course. And I started actually enjoying it. I started enjoying using my creativity and putting in different colors and shapes and sizes and all whatever was required. And I started enjoying it. And then I got it done by 10:30 that same night. So I was 12 hours early. So it's always better, like Shakespeare said, be 3 hours early than a minute late. But I got it done that same night. And then I felt so good about it and said, why was I procrastinating? Well, the reason was because of the lack of skill, because I had never done that task before. So you could be procrastinating because of a whole lot of reasons, maybe much more than what's actually written out here. But what happens when you procrastinate is it results in frenzied work hours, everything cluttered and crammed up together. You might actually miss opportunities. For example, if there's, you've been sent, say, a webinar link and you don't sign up on time and you realize that you just missed the webinar because you procrastinated into registering for it. That's a missed opportunity. It could be a greater opportunity, like a deadline for a better job or something like that. So, well, that's really sad. Those are the ill effects of procrastination. Also, it causes stress and you could be overwhelmed with guilt and resentment because you have missed opportunities or because you've missed deadlines, or probably you would have missed a chance to get a promotion at work, or something like you could be nominated for, for an award, and for the simple reason that you didn't sign up in time because you procrastinated, you could lose out on these opportunities, and that could result in guilt and resentment. So we don't want that to happen, right? Do we? Nobody wants that. So let's start becoming proactive. So from procrastinating to becoming proactive. So what does that involve? First of all, you need to be aware. Be aware of the times that you are procrastinating. So you need to recognize when, you need to understand why, and then you need to take active steps. Simply taking active steps, reading information off the net and trying to implement them is not really going to help you if you don't recognize when you're procrastinating, and you need to also acknowledge the fact that you're procrastinating. A lot of people who procrastinate, they find that they are actually denying the fact that they are procrastinating. Say, oh, no, I'm not procrastinating. No, it's just that, something else came up and I wasn't able to do it, or, it's just been a rough day for me. But you need to acknowledge it. Don't deny the fact. Acknowledge it, because only then you will be able to do something about it. So recognize when you are procrastinating. So sometimes if you have prepared a to-do list, but I personally don't like to call it a to-do list. I call a to-do list as a should have done list, because then it's more proactive into thinking that I should have done this, so I should just finish it off right now. But if you have a to-do list and you find that you have certain items on the to-do list which you haven't ticked off for a long time, you're ticking off the easy ones, but the difficult ones are still there. That means you're procrastinating. If you have a lot of low priority tasks on your to-do list, that could be a sign that you're procrastinating, because those high priority tasks that have not been done are not even on your to-do list. And if you find yourself just crawling through emails, randomly just scrolling through them up and down, or just sitting there with WhatsApp and Facebook and just randomly scrolling, you say, hey, am I procrastinating something which I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I just scrolling through those emails without reading them or addressing them or just doing away with it? Okay, so that could be a sign of procrastination. When you have distractions during a task, that could be a big procrastination sign, because these distractions could be caused by you. It's like, for example, let me explain. You sit down, you have your to-do list, you got your high priority task, you sit down to do your high priority task, and then within seconds, you get up to get a cup of coffee. Or within seconds, you realize, oh, I was supposed to call my mom. And you're distracting yourself during that high priority task. You're giving more attention to the low priority instead of focusing on that. That would be a sign of procrastination. And then sometimes you're just waiting for the right mood. I just need to be in a mood to do this task because it's such a huge task. So let me just be in the mood to do it. That's when you're procrastinating. So you need to recognize when you're procrastinating, and you need to acknowledge the fact that you are doing that. And then you also need to understand why you're doing it. Because if you understand why you're doing it, it will help you a lot to take active steps later. So maybe it is stressful for you, or it's just a fearful task, and maybe it's intimidating. Okay, you feel like it's a huge task. Well, there are solutions if you feel intimidated by a task, which will be coming up soon. And if you feel the task is difficult, or you feel you just want to be a perfectionist and do it just perfectly, and only then you're going to do it. Okay, so those are the reasons why you would be procrastinating. So once you understand why you're procrastinating, then you can take active steps. And some of them are blocking out distractions. The first thing is your phone. Put your phone on silent, or put your status as do not disturb. Okay, so you block out those distractions. Maybe you're sitting in a room and when you're doing your work, maybe you put a little label on your door that says, okay, you put a little post-it, knock at your own risk. I'm really busy right now. So you try to block out those distractions. And then a quick check. It's always good for you to ask someone to make a quick check on it and say, tell someone at home or a friend to just check on you after about half an hour. Please, could you please check on me in half an hour and check if I have actually started working or not, or if I'm ending up doing low priority tasks instead of the actual thing. So you ask someone to check on you, and you would check on your friends as well. Okay, and then also you need to look at consequences. What would be the consequences of completing the task, and what would be the consequences of not completing the task? So we need to look at both of these things. And if you look at the unpleasant consequences of not completing the task and the pleasant consequences of completing it, then you'll be even more motivated to finish off those tasks. And the least you could do is just try it out for a minute or 5 minutes, and enjoy doing what you do. Just like I enjoyed doing that poster presentation, and I enjoyed it so thoroughly, I felt really bad when it was over. So enjoy what you're doing. And you can also keep a reward ready. Well, if you don't want to keep a reward ready, like a chocolate or something which you might get addicted to, or you feel it's really bad, you just pat yourself in the back, and say, okay, I'm gonna just, draw a smiley or something, or write, you're the best. Just for yourself in any way that you feel, you really be happy to feel that way. To be told that you're great, to be told that you're a hero, you're a superhero because you've completed a really huge task. And then there's the ABCDE method by Brian Tracy, and it comes up from the Eat That Frog. I don't know if you've heard about Eat That Frog, but Eat That Frog, ew, who wants to eat that frog? But the frog is basically the worst thing that you have to do every day. And you're most likely to procrastinate on this worst thing. It's like a huge task. It's very difficult, which is very demanding, but you should always do this thing first. In fact, Eat That Frog was, this particular phrase was used by Mark Twain. Okay, Mark Twain said, eat that frog first thing in the morning and you don't need to worry about it for the rest of the day. So if you're going to eat that frog, is your frog would be the worst thing, what you consider worst, or whatever you consider as the most difficult task. And Brian Tracy added to this technique by using the ABCD method. It's similar to the priority matrix, but it's got little differences. So the first A, he says, are the tasks that need to be tackled that are most important. They are the most important, although they might be the most difficult. They are the most important, I probably would say the urgent important that need to be done. B would be the tasks that have only minor consequences. And C are tasks that have no consequences. So if you don't do those tasks, then they don't have consequences. It could be anything where you need to go out grocery shopping, but then you know that you've already cooked at the weekend. You don't really need to get those groceries because you already have food in the refrigerator. So no consequences. And then you could delegate the tasks which you feel can be delegated and handled by someone else. And you can also eliminate, which is the delete in the priority matrix. Things which are not important, not urgent, they can be deleted or they can be eliminated. So this is Brian Tracy's take on overcoming procrastination by using this ABCD method. So there are some other ways in which you can manage procrastination. Maybe you can use the 3 magical questions. Okay, so the source is goalsetting.com, and they have this lovely video, and it's from the video that I got this information. So answer these 3 questions whenever you feel that you are procrastinating, when you're aware that you're procrastinating. Ask yourself where you are right now, what do you want to do, and how will you feel after doing it? So it's encompassing a lot of what I've already spoken about. So say, for example, I'm sitting here in my bedroom at the window, and I'm just looking out of the window. And what do you want to do? I need to finish my project. I want to finish my project, but I'm standing here and looking outside my window. But how will you feel after doing your project? I'll feel that, okay, I will feel really good that I've done my project, and then I can come back and stand at the window and look out for as long as I want because I have finished that main task. So you're going to put these 3 questions, the answer to these 3 questions on a piece of paper, and hopefully this will be motivating for you to complete the task. So what you can do, if it's a large task, then you break it down into smaller tasks. As with Mark Twain, he spoke about eating the frog. He also said that you need to eat the frog if it's like really ugly. It's the ugly task that you need to do. But if you have 2 of them, then you will need to eat the one that's uglier. First, you eat the one that's uglier and then the other one. So similarly here, what you could do is, well, you could break it down and do the easy bits earlier and then keep the difficult ones for later, or you can just simply break them down so that every time you finish a little task and you pat yourself on the back and you say, yeah, I did a good job. Or you can just try it out just for fun, you can just try it out like for a minute or 2 and say, let me just see what this is all about, rather than being intimidated by it. Let me just do something about it. And there's also this strategy which is called the ultimate goal and immediate desire. Now this is really interesting. So according to goalsetting.com, they say that you have these 2 things that you want to do. This is your ultimate goal and the other one is your immediate desire. Like say your ultimate goal is you want to give up smoking. Okay? You want to give up smoking and that's your ultimate goal. But your immediate desire is to just go and grab a cigarette and start smoking it. So what they suggest is that you swap the roles. So the immediate desire would be going to grab a cigarette and smoking it right away to make that is your ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal of stopping smoking can make that your immediate desire. So then you swap places. But remember, if you don't do that, you didn't want to do that in the first place, then it's a matter, the problem is with the attitude that, we spoke so much about it, about self-awareness and self-control and emotional intelligence and all these things. But if you don't want to do anything about it and you're trying really hard, then it's not going to happen because you need to go head on with the right attitude. And then some more tips just before I finish my presentation is the first 30 minutes of the day are very, very important. because it's what you do in those 30 minutes is what matters. If you do something constructive and complete what you're supposed to do in those 30 minutes, and then you have the rest of the day to do all the other tasks, then you have no idea how important those 30 minutes are and how effective they can be. And when you start something, you slot something into your schedule and you start something, always keep a start deadline and a finish deadline. So deadlines are not only to finish. You can also say, I'm going to start at 10, I'm going to finish at 11. Now, mind you, I'm not telling you to be a robot. Say, like, wait for it. It's 5 to 10, and I'm waiting for it to turn 10. And when it's 10 o'clock, I jump up and I start doing my job. No, you can keep it flexible. But just have an approximate time as to when you start and when you finish. And you'll find that's profitable. And then there's something called a 1 minute trial. Just try it out for 1 minute. You just say, okay, I want to do this thing and I know I'm procrastinating. I don't feel like doing it. Let me try it out just for 1 minute. Like, for example, you want to do the dishes. You have to do the dishes because you're going to have a sink full of dishes if you don't do them. And you say, okay, let me just stop doing the dishes for a minute and go and you say, oh, there's so much here. Okay, let me start doing the cutlery first. And who knows, by the time you finish doing the cutlery, you might say, oh, I may as well just wash the cups and glasses here as well. And then the plates, and then, okay, everything fine, probably might get done. So it's just that 1 minute that really makes a difference. And there's also the 1, 2, 3 method. You know, when we say 1, 2, 3, on your marks, get set, go, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, let's go. You just count in your head. Okay, I need to do this. Let me count 1, 2, 3, and let me just go and start doing it. Okay, right? Some of you might be nodding your head. No, that's not going to work with me. But again, it's the attitude that matters. And this one is really helpful. It's called Ohio. It's only handle it once. And this goes especially for those at work. When you have a lot of emails coming in, sometimes your inbox get full with all those emails. But remember, if you see the email and you deal with it the moment it arrives in your inbox, the moment you see it in your inbox, then you'll be handling it only once. You don't need to go back again if you ignored it or if you procrastinated. So you handle it once and that's it. You've completed it. Okay, so the last one, not the least, is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. And she says that if you have an impulse to act on a goal, you must physically move within 5 seconds or your brain will kill the idea. Did you know how smart the brain is? The brain can actually sense that you're thinking of something and you're not doing anything about it. Physically, there's no movement. For 5 seconds, the brain's going to say, okay, off with that idea. So if you want to get things rolling in your life, you need to do something about it. And if the moment you think of it, within 5 seconds, if you actually do something about it, you will be, most of the time, you will be successful at doing that. So I like to leave you with this message. In fact, it's a take-home message, is to take action. An inch of movement will bring you closer to your goals than a mile of intention. So thank you so much for your time and for your participation. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed presenting it to you. These are my contact details here. I have my work ID and my personal email ID. This is my mobile number, also a WhatsApp number, and this is my Instagram handle in case you need to contact me over social media or you would like to take a look at my motivational videos and quotes. So thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carol. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. Now is the time for the question and answers. Your questions would be answered by the eminent speakers, and we have got distinguished panelists with us, Dr. Shweta Adatia, who is the consultant neurologist from RAC Hospital, and we have got Dr. Talat Padros, who is the professor of psychiatry at RAC College of Medicine. So we have 4 distinguished people who will be ready to answer your questions. I already have a few questions, and what we will do is that the questions will be grouped together and they will be answered on basis of a theme. And because the time would not allow answering all the questions, but we will try our level best to answer as many as possible. So the first question is, it is for Mrs. Carol. It says that in a condition where you have been procrastinating and the workload has increased, the deadlines have passed, and you just do not have any energy or motivation to do the tasks. So in that situation, what would you advise? I'll repeat the question.
Sir, I'm
Yeah,
unable to
repeat.
hear you very clearly. Can you please repeat the question?
I'll repeat the question. The question is, if you are in a situation where you have been procrastinating and the deadlines have passed and you just do not have the energy or the motivation to do anything. So what would you advise in that situation? Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, I get it. So thank you for the question. In fact, it's an interesting question. It's what I get a lot from my students and from a lot of other people who cannot complete their tasks on time. It's in fact reminds me of the stages of procrastination, where when you have the time, you don't make use of it, and then you realize it's too late and the deadline is passed. And then that's the crisis situation where you say, oh, the deadline is passed, I'm never going to procrastinate again. But there's also a final step in the stages of procrastination which says repeat. So the next time it happens, again, you are procrastinating. So I understand your question. So what I would advise you to do is to start with the first step of, first of all, being aware as to what you want. I know the deadline has passed, but maybe you will be able to prevent this with future tasks, with future thoughts of procrastination. So first of all, be aware of what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. As like Professor Rao said, you need to work, strengthen your strengths and weaken your weaknesses. So you probably do have those strengths in order to complete those tasks and avoid procrastination. So there are so many things that you can do, and I'm sure you have so many talents and so many abilities which you need to be aware of and which you can put them all together collectively in order to attack that task, eat that frog, and I'm sure you'll be able to do that. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, sir. Please, sir. So,
I just wanted to add whatever Carol said. As she said, is a very interesting question, and indeed, in fact, it's a very common problem. See, there are actually two possibilities. One, most of the time, what happens is when a task is given, by the time we start, there is a time gap. Only after some time, we understand the gravity of the problem and the urgency of the problem. Then suddenly there is a rush. And then when there is a rush, we get confused. And naturally, then we come out with so many reasons. I don't know what exactly is the reason. Because I'm telling you one of the possibility. And also, many times, when there is a heavy workload, or responsibilities are multiple, we somehow hesitate to take our team members into action. So probably that is another, this one. Is it possible? Is it only my work or somebody else can help me in my team? I think when we do that, most of the time, it is possible we can divide our whole task into different smaller tasks. And then it's possible to delegate the responsibility, and we can be the editing and compiling part. We can take the responsibility. Ultimately, I'm very sure with this much planning, many times we can come out of the situation.
thank you, sir. There's a general question, sir. What do you mean by inculcating self-discipline, and how do we go about it? What do you mean by inculcating self-discipline, and how do we go about it? It is open to any of the panelists or the expert speakers.
Again, can you repeat it again, because the voice here is not very clear.
Okay, so I'll repeat it once again. It means, what do you mean by inculcating self-discipline, and how do you do it?
Inculcating self-discipline.
Yes.
I think this is Dr. Rao first.
Yeah. Again, see, when we say self-discipline, self-control, all those connected with the attitude and connected with the different behavioral habits. as we were sharing, it's all not possible in one day. Let us say I want to be punctual. Whatever is the situation, I want to maintain time. Let us say that. Yeah, we can find out many excuses for not doing that. But if we have to overcome all the excuses, we have to focus on, okay, this is my priority. Anywhere I am going, I will maintain time. So I have to decide myself. This is true for any other situation. Once there is a determination, and as Dr. Carolus, Mr. Carolus said, only idea means you will not be able to implement. That idea should be implemented without much delay, and we need to take proper action for that. And by repeated practice, it is possible. And we can make it a habit. See, anything from the thinking process to become a habit, there's a lot of different steps and it takes time. So that is possible only by continuous practice. And in the next 29th session, you will come to know, see, any of these habits. Now psychologists have proved 21 days of practice, it is possible to change. Minimum 21 days. That's right. It may be more or less depending on the personality, but in general, it is known that 21 days of continuous practice and planning and implementation, it is possible to make internalization of that habit, and it becomes automatic. Have I answered the question?
Okay. Yes, thank you very much.
May I add a comment? May I add a comment?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
I think there is a very big link between what Dr. Rao presented today and what Carol also presented today. We cannot make self-promotion or empowering without looking to the value of time. The value of time. I think always I'm telling my student that what is different from one successful man from a failure man is his attitude towards time, perception of time. I think the main goal, the main goal of the main criterion for success is evaluation of time, and we have to, when we are rearing our children, to show them how the value of time from the childhood. So we cannot make the empowering, self-empowering without evaluating the value of time. This is so that there are two links between the two talks today.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
The next question is directed at Mrs. Carol, and it says, can you just please once again explain the Pomodoro technique?
Pardon me?
Can you please explain the Pomodoro technique once again? You presented one of the techniques called Pomodoro technique. So can you just go over it again?
The Pareto principle? I can't.
Yeah.
Is it the Pareto principle?
I think Pareto, because it's written Pomodoro here, but it must be Pareto technique, yeah.
Okay. So the Pareto principle is basically about the effort that you put in and the results that you achieve. So normally what happens is when you put in a lot of effort, you expect to see equal amount of results. But if you're working smart, you would actually be able to put 20% of your effort to achieve those 80% results. Like I gave the example about myself when I was preparing for this presentation, that the actual information that I needed to give was 20% of it, which had an impact of 80% on the actual total topic. And the other effort which I put into creating the slide design and putting that little border at the side and the font and all of this, such a lot of effort, the result was the impact was actually only 20%. So basically what the Pareto principle talks about is the 80-20 rule. So if you work smart, then you will be able to put in less effort, which will achieve more results. I hope that's clear.
Thank you very much. The question again gets repeated, but I'm not sure. It says that what's meant by Pomodoro technique, please. Again, it's been repeated by another.
Pomodoro.
No, Pomodoro, P-O-M-O-D-O-R-O.
Oh, this is the Pareto principle.
Okay.
It is the
It's-
pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
If there are any other questions, because I don't see any more questions here. So if you would like to say anything else before we conclude.
I have a question, Dr. Shweta here. This is for Dr. Rao. Very interesting topic, Dr. Rao. What are the techniques to sort of grow the emotional quotient of the brain? Essentially, what can we do to enhance that emotional part of the brain, or the limbic, or so to speak, the amygdala hijack, etc.? Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is the same principle where we learn any habit. What we learn, focusing on the attitude, like for example, say time management. That is one of the aspect of the emotional quotient. Or next 29th, we'll be talking about self-talk. See, it's one of the way to reinforce ourselves so that our emotional stability becomes more and emotional quotient level becomes high. Like that, I think both the psychiatrists and psychologists have to help probably. You know, why we brought up this topic, as you know, Dr. Shweta, nowadays, so much of focus on intelligence and technology. You know, whatever technology you are using for whether it's health profession or other profession, it only helps in skill and knowledge, and definitely not the behavior. But see the conflict of or contrary, what we are doing. When somebody goes for a job, all we are asking is your how you are managing your interrelationship, leadership quality, and then how you manage a crisis, some problem, how we are going to solve the problem. All these questions are related to that. And industry complaining, your students are not fit to for a job because their emotional quotient is very less. You know, that's why we need to refocus on the.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree 100%. I think the soft or the empathetic or empathy quotient, unless we bring in these dialogues,
Yes.
I think the future generation is, there has to be a balance between the technology or the analysis part versus the soft empathetic component. 100%, 100%.
See, we are not at all making an attempt to teach or train, and then we expect them to be experts. The moment they become graduates, we expect them to be experts in emotional balance. You know, you have seen, for example, I am saying with the students and the younger generation nowadays, the moment they desire something, they want it. I'm sure, very sure, many parents agree with me. Something comes to their mind, they want it means they want it. Whether it's really needed, they have no patience to analyze. So in the process, we land up in getting so many things. I'm talking of physical mostly, things which are not at all necessary. And we don't analyze at all. So unless we make it as a part of our training, how they will learn the values? See, for example, many times, you know, in fact, for me as a teacher, people have made fun. You are too soft because I'm not shouting. Then I used to tell them, without shouting, I achieve the same thing what you are achieving. I control the class without shouting. So why I should shout? You know, so shouting is considered as one of the asset for a teacher, which is not at all needed. Without that, we can manage. You know, I'm just sharing with you.
Yes, sir.
One more
Can I
thing,
just
can I add? Dr. Suita, you have a very nice video of the importance of storytelling and how it organize the brain and how it integrate our brain. There is a debate among psychologists and among psychiatrists if the EQ is something inherited or acquired. And until now, it is not clear if it is inherited 100% or could be empowered and could be increased. And the people who are on the side of empowering it and increasing it and improving our EQ, they recommend literature, art, poem, and spiritual matter, all these things which can enhance our EQ. our EQ, there is a part, because all of us as doctor, for example, here, or as engineer or professionalist, only focus on our work, as you say, on technology. But there is another side. We have two brains, Dr. Rao. We have actually multiple brains, but we can consider we have two sides. We have the left hemisphere, which is interested in or concerned with the analysis, with calculation, and with reasoning. But we have the right brain, the right side of our brain, which is concerned with integrating all these, which is responsible for the EQ. And the nourishment for our right brain is literature, music, art, and poem, and all these, and the social science. So if I don't know if this is can add to what Dr. Suita asked.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you, Dr. Talat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There aren't any more questions, so.
Dr. Suhail, sorry to interrupt. Can you please repeat that question? That was because you said there were two people who asked that question, so I'm sure it must be probably the same thing that they're asking.
I'll read it out once again, ma'am. It's what's meant by Pomodoro technique?
Okay, Pomodoro.
Yes.
Okay. The Pomodoro, okay, the Pomodoro technique. All right. Basically, it's a technique which it is. I have not included it in my presentation. I thought they were referring to the one that I had included in the presentation. So basically, it encourages you to set a task for yourself and set a timer for like 25 minutes, and then every 25 minutes take 5-minute break. I know there are a lot of students who do that, and they find that it is helpful. So every time you work for 25 minutes, the timer rings, and then you take a break for 5 minutes. And every time you complete 4 of such rounds, then you can take a break of 15 to 30 minutes. So technically, you're getting lots of work done. But what I feel is the only disadvantage would be for the ones who would like to work at a 1-hour stretch, or if there is something where they could adjust these timings. And there's also an app which will help you to block out your mobile distractions while you use this technique. So I think it is pretty helpful for those who would like to have a shorter work time. The attention span is shorter, or they feel they'll be more effective by using shorter work timings.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think that finishes all the questions. So before we conclude, I would like to thank all the participants on behalf of Dr. K.L. Berry, Chief Academic Officer and the head of CEDAR, and all my fellow CEDAR members. And I would like to especially thank Dr. G.M. Rao, the President of Iraq Medical and Health Sciences University, for taking out time from his very busy schedule. Mrs. Carol, Dr. Talat, and Dr. Shweta for taking out time from your very, very busy schedules and being with us and giving your valuable opinions and so much of insight. Thank you very much. We hope to see you again in our next session. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let us request all the delegates definitely to log in again on 29th, because all these sessions are interlinked, and ultimately we need to go for a holistic approach, because multiple steps are needed and we need to understand ourselves correctly. So that's why, because it is very important for the continuation in the next 2 topics also. So I wish we will be able to see them again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to the team and organizing this very important webinar, and definitely needed. Yes. Thank you so much, all the panelists and including Dr. Suhail and Carol.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.